down on me for not being supportive. You talk about all of the nice things that they typed at me, or all of the dismissive things. And there's a whole bunch of these. I was gonna grab some of my paper evidence and bring it in, but it started sprinkling again as soon as I got out to my vehicle, and I don't want to leave my stuff abandoned. So we're going to work on survivor support. We're going to start going through the nice people, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nice people. There were hundreds of mean people too. We got plenty of evidence of that. But we want to focus on the nice people and how their nice help is dismissive. We're also going to talk about somebody whose child is missing. Her adult son, actually. Gotta see what's wrong with my internet. It says I've got access. Oh, I do. Alright. Go to Facebook. There's a woman in Bozeman, Montana. Wait, Billings, I believe. Now, this is only 40-something miles from the, missing and murdered Indigenous women. It's actually missing and murdered Indigenous people. Over 100 people from such a small area, such a small population size. Over 100 people from that area disappeared in a 10-year period. So this lady, I would really like to encourage you to look her stuff up. Obviously, this isn't just about me. This is about all the survivors of these things. It's about all of the victims. Whether you want to use the term survivor or victim, I don't care. You're talking about people who have taken abuse from the same acts. Diane Line, she wanted to yell at me, literally yell at me, for saying I was victimized, because she thought I should say I was a survivor. Well, I did survive it, that is obvious. The issue at hand is not to blow it off, and not to blow off the victim, and not to try to pick apart every, oh my God, my words didn't come together right once. Well, the more you interrupt me, the more you're rude and inconsiderate, the more difficult this is going to get for all of us. This says, Montana mom turns into investigator after police decline search for her missing son. All right, we're going to start talking about Larimer County. Larimer County, Colorado. This woman lives in Billings. Her son lives homeless. Now, like I said, they won't do anything about a missing homeless person. This Montana mother has a son who has been missing in Colorado, and the police have done nothing to help find him, done nothing to get the word out, nothing at all. His face has not been on the news. You only put homeless people on the news when it fits your rhetoric, your hatred, your bias, your Nazism. You do exactly the same thing to the homeless and the mentally ill that the Nazis did with Jews in World War II. You blame them for everything. You're broke because of them, right? It's their fault that we've been to war. It's their fault that you're broke. It's their fault that we have a national deficit. You're going to claim that less than 600,000 people total in the United States who are considered actually homeless. These people account for 81% of the incarcerated population. You guys, I've heard so many of my friends scream at their wives, scream at their husbands. I've seen so many women beat on their husbands and then complain afterwards that they hadn't done anything wrong. I told you how bad Colorado is, and I told you the news media tries to paint all homeless people as these mentally ill people who are walking into your jobs and stuff with a shotgun. And guess what? Let's see. I want to know this. This is a good question. I'm going to type it in. What percent of American mass shooters are homeless? Let's see, mass shootings in America. Nope, it says missing homeless, must include homeless. Again, missing homeless must include homeless. Nearly all mass shooters experience trauma. Ah, good to know. A lot of people posted violent content as their posting was towards me. And I just had to take the abuse and try to explain what happened. And the longer I took the abuse, the more angry I got. And despite the fact that through all of this, there has been hardly any time at all that I did not have access to firearms, I've still not killed anybody. I still don't carry a firearm. I don't even own one. Let's see. Only 0.18% of all gun homicides were committed during a mass shooting. Let's see. Here it's tagging the mentally ill. Mentally ill. By the way, we need to remove that from our vocabulary right now. Mentally ill is not a diagnosis. Take it away. It does not exist. It is an excuse. It's like when someone tells on you because you did something wrong and you accuse them of attacking you. You're trying to insinuate that there was some sort of physical assault or altercation or an attempt or threat thereof. Now, right here it says, stop blaming mental illness for mass shootings. A tiny share of all violent crime is related to mental illness, and the mentally ill are more likely to be victims than perpetrators. That's very interesting. So here we've got these mass shootings, and homeless is the only word that is missing from all of these. Are we really truly to believe that out of all of this hatred of the mentally ill that we're taking out on the homeless, all of this hatred of sexual predators that we're taking out on the homeless, most of us are homeless because we were victimized into homelessness. We know how to survive. We know how to adapt. We know how to go chameleon. Because we've had to survive some quite adverse conditions. You stick me with somebody who talks funny for any significant amount of time, I'm going to start talking funny. So you guys want to blame mental illness instead of motives and intent, instead of the bullying. And of course, you guys want to push the mental illness, mental illness, mental illness, mental illness. Everything is mental illness's fault. Meanwhile, the majority of Americans have something that is in the DSM-5. Now let's look up what is mentally ill. Overview. Mental illness, also called mental health disorders, refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Examples of mental illness include depression, anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and addictive behaviors. Therefore, if you are anorexic, you are mentally ill, and therefore anybody who commits a crime against you can call you mentally ill, because it's going to be inferred by the public or used in a context to infer that you are. Depression. There's situational depression, and then there's chemical depression. That's where you experience it. And the question, depression is a reaction from environmental stimuli. Environmental stimuli, such as losing a child, is going to result in depression. Anxiety disorders. This is what many people with PTSD exhibit. Many behaviors that victims are harmed over by law enforcement, their friends, and their family are because they have this anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder is brought on by abuse, and more often, it's not the abuse itself that leads to anxiety disorder. What is it? It's dismissive behaviors by our trusted adults. The term mentally ill used to dismiss outright, to refuse to look at evidence, to allow repeated felonies to be committed against them, force makes them homeless because we do not have the skills or deny the resources to be able to take care of these things ourselves. Meanwhile, the services are not for us or with us. You want to pretend that everyone with this term mentally ill, I told you, y'all try to pretend that it means that they're schizophrenic. You ignore the eating disorders and the addictive behaviors, the anxiety disorders, the depression. You ignore all of that. All mentally ill means to any of you is that one right there, and that is the one that my predators have preyed upon. Now here's the thing. How long does it take to diagnose schizophrenia? All right. To receive a diagnosis of schizophrenia, a person must have experienced at least 2 of the following symptoms most of the time during a 1-month period, with some level of disturbance being present for 6 months. That's right, people. It takes 6 months. It says delusions, such as the belief that a person is being poisoned. Well, here's the funny thing about that. That's why you go to hospitals. When I went to the hospital because I was poisoned, they verified, and I have the hospital paperwork, and I've shown it on my YouTube channel here, that the chemicals I was afraid were in there. That they did affect me the way that I said they did. Matter of fact, the name of the video where I went to the hospital about that is called Felon Doctor of Hood River. He did not follow the legal mandates required by the state of Oregon, nor the federal mandates required by the United States of America. Meanwhile, the lady that he sent me to, or the company that he sent me to, there's a lady named Courtney who's in charge of it. Later on, when it came to further abuse at the places we were sent as a safe place, a church parking lot in Hood River, it was run by a man who bragged about killing a man in prison, and he stalked a girl half his size and socked her in the back of the head, and had I not been there to do something, he'd have hit her more. I'm very loud and very immediate about that. You do not get to hurt people in my presence and have me do nothing. I am not a coward. I will not just watch, and I will not turn away. Now, we're also going to look up responses to long-term abuse. Now, my abuse is primarily over my disabilities, but more so people's assumptions of my disabilities. Signs of abuse. We're going to look at this. We've got a hotline here. Let's see, what are the 7 signs of emotional abuse? Gaslighting. This is what people did to me. This is what my predators' abuse did. Their gaslighting resulted in isolating me from my loved ones. They used a lot of insulting language, a lot of yelling, a lot of shifting the blame, acting extremely jealous, and outbursts of unpredictable anger. Now, I've exhibited nearly all of these as well. Like I said, I stopped doing what it is that I was told to do. No, I never did. I never stopped doing what it is what I was supposed to do. I just had to show that these things were wrong, that they were illegal, and that ignoring them the way the police were was against the law as well. Let's see, common signs. What are key signs of abuse? Unexplained changes in behavior or personality. That's right. Who is it that these are not unexplained changes in behavior or personality? I explained why I was having those issues. It says becoming withdrawn. No, I was socially isolated from my loved ones because of gaslighting. I'm sorry, this is not zooming in very well. Isolating you from loved ones due to gaslighting. It's not just insulting language they were using. I've already shown on many occasions that it was threats against my life and against my family's life. And yes, people were more than just yelling at me. They were pushing me and shoving me and threatening to kill me and my friends and family. Now it says here, it says, becoming withdrawn. No, I was victimized to the point where I was afraid of going to anyone for help. Now we'll see why it is here that I became withdrawn. Give me just a moment. John Schwartz. All right, we're down to 426 friends. All right, so that was my cover photo when Natalie was killed. 5 years ago. Nothing Ever Happens, my favorite Rachel Platten song. Yeah. Talking to survivors. We'll go to this one. No, it's actually bigger the other way, oddly. Alright, we'll try to zoom in as best we can. It says, don't say things like, I understand. How many times these people who want to help me stop me to interrupt me and say they understand over and over again? This is, don't say things like, I understand, or it sounds like, or I'm glad you can share those feelings. These are things you're not supposed to say. These are all interruptions. These are all invalidations of what they're going through. And you say, you are lucky that. Come on, zoom in properly. There you go. You're lucky that, or it'll take some time, but you'll get over it. I can imagine how you feel. Don't worry, it's going to be all right. Try to be strong for your children. Calm down and try to relax. No, you need to stop interrupting the victims. Stop interrupting them to say stupid stuff like this. You don't understand. If you're interrupting them in the middle of something that is very important, they're going to have more problems speaking. And more problems trusting that you're not going to talk over them and put in your own narratives. It sounds like is putting in your own narrative. You're lucky that is putting in your own narrative. These things dismiss the victim outright. And this is the hell that most of you who wanted to be supportive are providing. You're trying to dismiss me outright. You're trying to change the subject. And a lot of other things that are very stupid. Here's one. Don't question the validity of the survivors' claims. Doubting the validity of their claims will only cause them more pain. They have entrusted you with a very personal story, and they count on your support. What kind of support? Not this. This is not support. None of the things on this list are supportive. Saying, I understand, it sounds like, I'm glad you can share those feelings. You're lucky that. It'll take some time, but you'll get over it. I can imagine how you feel. Don't worry. It's going to be all right. Try to be strong for your children. Calm down. Try to relax. These are all examples of things that people have done to me. Now, I don't have any children, but a lot of people use their children and other people's children as an excuse for the harm. And that's not acceptable either. It says, don't make excuses for the perpetrator. Their actions are inexcusable, period. And all of you make excuses for these perpetrators. When I speak out, it's because these are the things that you, as a friend or family member, these are the things that I need you to keep in mind. These things feel horrible, all right? Horrible. And look at how many of my friends wanted to look away, and this is their support, is to do these things. Are you sure that you maybe didn't ask for it a little bit? You know what I'm saying? It's horrible. Don't make excuses for the perpetrator. Their actions are inexcusable, period. When you make excuses for my perpetrators, you're betraying my trust. When you refuse to look at evidence of it and say, well, you don't know anything because you weren't there, that is betraying my trust as well. It says, don't share the survivor's story without their consent. You know what? I don't follow that one any longer. Because I asked my friends and family for help sharing my story. for help getting the abuse to stop. That's what I needed. Help stopping the abuse. It says, don't give the survivor any ultimatums. And everybody wants to do this. Sean, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or I'm not going to help. Sean, you need to buy this, or you need to buy that, or I'm not going to help. Sean, you need to call this place or call that place, or I'm not going to help. Sean, you need to travel here, or you need to travel there, or I'm not going to help. Or, of course, other examples are when you promise that you're going to help them, and then you always change your opinion or your idea at the very end. You change the deal that you had made, the bond of trust between yourself and the survivor. Every time that you don't keep your word, you allow the predator another day to get away with it. When you force the victim to go public, by the time a victim has gone public, they have gone through a quantity of Hades that nobody should have to. I went public about the situation with Natalie Bollinger in October of 2016. I went public about it immediately because I had no real friends or family, but I needed it to be documented, and I made sure it was documented. You guys want to give me ultimatums? Well, that's where all of you screwed up. I'm an at-risk and disabled adult with a fixed income, and I can't do these things from homelessness. I can't do these things because of abuse by police, including physical assaults. It says, don't minimize the assault. That's what you guys want to do. You always minimize the assault. It says, don't minimize the assault, regardless of the details. Sex assault is wrong. Now, this isn't just about sexual assault, by the way. It says, don't anticipate the ways a particular type of violence will affect the survivor. When you guys tell me how to think and how to feel, when you try to downplay things like post-traumatic stress disorder, it is a horrible thing. Seeming anxious, common signs of abuse, seeming anxious, becoming uncharacteristically aggressive. I was the most abusive person that I knew before Natalie was killed. Her friends and family were harming me, they were assaulting me, they were threatening my life. And when I told my predators about it, they blew me off and pretended like I was stalking them. I was told by police officers to ask them to stop, to go to them first, to try to get it done without courts. I was also told, well, don't you have friends or family that can help? I went to my friends and family. They threatened to harm Natalie, Alicia, and Maddie Bollinger. And I wasn't going to have that. People like Joanna Taylor Smith. No, people do not get to hurt my loved ones just because they decided to do something wrong. It is not okay to harm them. I'm expected to understand their addictions. But see, I become anxious and uncharacteristically aggressive, as you guys want to put it. Oh, he's aggressive and angry. You're darn right I'm angry. I am scared of the American people. The way that I am treated because I am a male is atrocious. It says, lacks social skills and has few friends, if any. See, the abuse that I went through, the gaslighting, resulted in isolation from my loved ones. Yelling, shifting the blame, telling my friends and loved ones that I did things I didn't. Natalie admitted I never did those things. Alicia admitted, well, we got to get her to do that, don't we? We have to get her in court. It says lacks social skills and has few friends, if any. Yeah, that's the problem. I was separated and isolated from my friends and loved ones because of help that people wanted to force on me, to pressure me to accept, like that broken phone that Alicia Bollinger gave to me. That's what destroyed all of our friendships. A broken phone It says knowledge of adult issues are inappropriate for their age. Well, that one's a little bit different. It says running away or going missing. Yes, I've been fleeing abuse. And this is what my therapist told me to do. Marcia Estrada's recorded saying that. She's also recorded admitting that I'm not schizophrenic. We'll take a look at this. Oh yeah, I forgot that my keyboard is no longer working, so we'll back it up like this. All right. Here's one. Oh, come on. This is my paperwork. It says very specifically that I'm not schizophrenic, and we will post this up too. This is Marcia Estrada, LIMHP, talking about Cindy Taylor, Jen Beebe, Tamara, and DaCosta. In this, she discusses my diagnoses, also my paperwork with my diagnoses. She's the only person who has seen me for 6 months or longer by that point. The only one. She's literally the only one who is capable of diagnosing me as schizophrenic, and the fact that police officers were allowed to lie to people and have me harmed over this is just ungodly wrong. The fact that Marcia Estrada had prior knowledge of Scott Costa from other patients, and she shared that information with me. So she verifies that I am not schizophrenic, I am autistic. I don't have bipolar disorder. I do have PTSD. I'm not delusional or psychotic. Now, here's one of the things we're going to have to post up. Signs. Oh yeah, sorry. Forgot again. Signs of PTSD in men. What are PTSD symptoms in men? Feeling extremely lonely or isolated. Signs of abuse, becoming withdrawn. Common signs. Yep. Come on, where's the other one we were looking for? Here it is. Isolating you from loved ones through gaslighting. Signs of PTSD, feeling extremely lonely or isolated. Having intense emotions and being unable to regulate them. Now I do have to regulate them, don't I? I'm stuck in public. I have to. Being hypervigilant. See, this is something that Marcia Estrada right here speaks about. This one right here, it's called Marcia Estrada, LIMHP, talking about Cindy Taylor, Jen Beebe, Tamara, and DaCosta. See, I never stopped trying to get help. I had to go to McCook, Nebraska. While I was there, the parking lot that I had to stay in, a police officer literally shot a man because he was crossing the road doing something stupid and ran in front of a moving vehicle. So the officer pulled out his pistol and shot the father of two who was driving the vehicle there for groceries. And I had to stay in that Walmart parking lot. Jen Beebe and Marcia Estrada recordings. One of the many calls with Marcia Estrada. And this is Marcia Estrada right here. This is the woman right here. She's aware of the dynamics. She's not stupid. She's afraid. Big difference. She doesn't want to get in trouble, but at the same time, if she turns it in, she gets in trouble. If she doesn't turn it in, she gets in trouble. If she turns it in, she might lose her job or alienate her coworkers or the police, and that could come back on her. And yes, many people have to be afraid of that. Now let's take a look at this. Signs of PTSD, being hypervigilant, or as you guys put it, paranoid. Now we could go through how PTSD, especially immediately after a situation of abuse, can very specifically be misconstrued as schizophrenia or delusions, especially if it's a male who has autism or a communication disability. Being hypervigilant, this does not mean the same thing as paranoid necessarily. For a lot of people, paranoid is a way that people abuse being hypervigilant to make someone seem delusional or schizophrenic. Oh, they're just being paranoid. If somebody is punched every time they go to see their older brother in Boulder, Colorado, so every time they go to Boulder, Colorado to see their brother, they're trying to take steps to protect themselves, being hypervigilant. That doesn't mean that they're paranoid. That doesn't mean they're delusional or schizophrenic. Experiencing flashbacks, I have those often, very often. I have nightmares about the places that I've been. Disassociating. Now that's a word you guys might want to look up. It's being afraid and, of course, running away. Running away or going missing. Running away or going missing. You see how confusing this gets if you don't look at the evidence, if you don't listen to the victim. Constantly bracing for further potential trauma. And do I not do that? For an autistic person, there are things that we're supposed to do. Bracing for further potential trauma is necessary. That's kind of like the parents of a black man or a black male child having to explain to their child, you can't run away from the cops with your friends. You have to stop or they'll shoot you. It says feeling helpless or ashamed. Well, I am helpless because of course, the shame and bias that we have to deal with. Meanwhile, she's the only one who's taken a look at anything well enough to know, not think, not believe. She didn't just believe what Scott DeCosta told everybody. She was able to see actual evidence in our first 4 meetings, I believe. I was locked up, our first 3 maybe. However, when I got out and I started meeting with her in Sydney, Nebraska, I was able to show her evidence on the very first day, as well as show her the mass quantity of it. And also, I was able to show her that, obviously, I'm not delusional, as the police tried to claim, as my predators tried to claim. So after this video, maybe I should try to link everything in it. But the problem is that we need to work together with people. Now let's take a look at I guess we're going to open up one more of these for you too. There's another one that I want to click a link to. Although I am going to stop and we're going to finish both of these lists here. Don't say things like, I understand. It sounds like, I'm glad you can share those feelings. You're lucky that. It'll take some time, but you'll get over it. I can imagine how you feel. Don't worry, it's going to be all right. Try to be strong for your children. Calm down and try to relax. All right, here's the don'ts. We're going to get back to this. This is very important. All of the police officers and mandatory reporters are doing the things they're not supposed to. Let's see, don't investigate what the survivor is saying. Avoid asking too many why questions or asking for more details than the survivor is willing to share. Now, all of the people who claim that they would help me, all they would do is overstep their boundaries, have absolutely zero respect for me as a human being. Now, let's post up another one of these. I'll take this down. Now, mind you, there is evidence of, well, the stories of the victims themselves speaking up here. Joanna Taylor Smith. Yeah, I already showed that one this week. At least parts of it. I showed all of it in its entirety on my channel a couple of years ago. I believe I saved it and shared it. So we're going to go through these. A lot of the things that you are told to say, you're also trained not to if you get mandated reporter training, and you also get trained in why. This is let's start with this one. Oh, come on. Yeah. Anything else? My computer hates me, and I understand. I'm mean to it. All right, so we're going to go over this list. I highly recommend you watch the mandated reporter training videos. You can see how slow my computer is. Oh, they're lightened up a bit. Maybe it'll, yep, there it's finally starting to load. Oppression. Domestic violence does not happen in a vacuum. When you're homeless, it is all domestic violence. You are stuck on the streets with a bunch of other people. It says domestic violence does not happen in a vacuum. Survivors often experience multiple forms of oppression or isms, such as sexism, racism, classism, or heteronormativism. These isms can perpetuate gender-based violence, contributing to obstacles that survivors face and have a significant impact on a survivor's ability to access safety and justice. This is what I'm dealing with. All right, I'm clicking through because you guys probably don't want to see my studies on chariots. This one's on elder abuse, but it's very similar. This is my actual paperwork from the hospital here in Tillamook. When it was an officer who showed up who shouldn't have been there, one of my abusers. It says, how can elder abuse be prevented? And this line of question and all this here is the same if it's a disabled adult who is in an at-risk situation. It says, if you are a family member or a friend, try to see the person regularly. How many people tried to see me regularly? None. It says, frequent visits will help you determine if the person shows signs of abuse or neglect. But when you guys are too busy saying all those things that dismiss us outright, we can't believe you. It says, get to know the staff who are taking care of the person. Well, you got to learn about the staff who took care of me at Clearview. They got shut down. The coroner of Larimer County said that Clearview obviously covered up a murder, and that is on the news. We've gone through that as well. It says, express any concerns you may have right away. Keep notes of the conversation. You guys expressed lots of concerns to me, but who did you express it to as far as the abuse towards me goes? Did you keep any notes of the conversations? Well, in texting, I was able to luckily save the conversations between myself and a lot of people going back to well before Natalie was killed. Well, before I ever went to Virginia even. I did what I was supposed to. I expressed my concerns to family members and friends. It says, take pictures if there are signs of abuse or poor health standards, and I absolutely have. My entire YouTube channel is an example of abuse and poor health standards. The entire thing. It also says, offer to accompany the person to medical appointments, financial institutions, and other important meetings. Now that is important, yes, but also follow through. That's very important. It says, if you are an older person, and this is supposed to apply to all of us, but it says, remain active, avoid isolation. Oh, by the way, this is one of the clerical errors that was made by the Tillamook Hospital. They gave me the elder abuse paperwork instead of the disabled or at-risk adult paperwork. But it says, I'm to remain active, avoid isolation, and cultivate a strong support network of family and friends, except for the fact that right here, gaslighting can isolate you from your loved ones. Isolating you from your loved ones may make you seem like you're becoming withdrawn. In reality, you're afraid. But when you go to your friends for help, they tell you things like this. They make excuses for your perpetrator. Or, of course, there's the giving me ultimatums, like Case Layton Morse did. Oh, he'll help me, but I just have to read his book on how to operate heavy machinery. I'm like, dude, I can't get into the machine. Are you kidding me? And everybody wanted to do that. If you bring cigarettes, oh, Sean, if you just wait till I put the kids to bed. Oh, Sean, we're busy playing video games. Can't I wind down for the evening? And of course, you want to tear apart what I'm saying as I'm saying it, without allowing me to finish. You want to interrupt me to ask 4 or 5 questions in a row without allowing me to even finish one of them. And then whatever answer I give, you'll just assign to whichever one of those questions you want it to be assigned to. You want to push me to share details that, well, I'd like to share everything, but I'm not telling you this stuff in confidence. You know what? When my friends got killed, I had to stop trying to give people the in good confidence thing. I had to pull on my big girl panties, and I had to do something. Natalie Bollinger didn't deserve a bullet through her brain. She didn't deserve to be victimized in exactly these same ways by exactly the same people. Tim Beeson, Ted Bollinger, Troy Bollinger, Jennifer Farina Bollinger, Danica Garner, Rose M. Kelly. When I counted on your support was to tell me these things. I understand. It sounds like. I'm glad you can share those feelings. You're lucky that. It'll take some time, but you'll get over it. I can imagine how you feel. Don't worry, it's going to be all right. Try to be strong for your children. Calm down and try to relax. When you guys try to pressure me to do things that are against my best interest or the best interest of these children, by trying to make me feel bad, try to make me feel like I should be ashamed for telling the truth or for coming forward about the abuse. You are not friends. You are abusers at that point yourself. You force us to be hypervigilant. Yes, we have flashbacks. We have to see our predators every day. We have to be afraid to go places where our predators might be. We have to be afraid to go to the grocery store. In a small town like Chapel, Nebraska, you have to be afraid to leave your house. Dissociating. Now we're going to look this word up for y'all. Copy. It says many people may experience dissociate during their life. If you dissociate, you may feel disconnected from yourself and the world around you. For example, you may feel detached from your body or feel as though the world around you is unreal. No, it's very real. It's surreal how real it is. That's the realization. It says disconnection and lack of continuity between thoughts, memories, surroundings, actions, and identity. Problems with communication, words not coming together, situations becoming so complicated that nobody's going to listen. What Natalie Bollinger and her friends and family did to me for an entire year before she was killed was to gaslight me and separate me from my friends, family, and loved ones. Separate me from friends and family. It says I'm supposed to remain active, avoid isolation, and cultivate a strong support network of friends and family. I was cut off from those because of slander that can still be proven that it's slander. It's also already been proven many times that I did not slander Natalie Bollinger. She slandered me. And that's because she was trying to protect her predators, as many people do. And we can go into that too. It says, be active in taking care of your health problems. Do what you can to remain healthy. I'm trying, but I am prevented from doing so. $800 a month is not enough to live on. And being forced into homelessness because of things that I did not do makes it so that I can't take care of my health problems. And the way that hospitals and doctors treat the homeless, especially homeless males nationwide, as if they're all on heroin, is horrible. But they listen to Natalie Bollinger, who actually was on heroin because she was pretty. How horrible is that? It says, avoid signing documents or transferring money or property to anyone without first getting legal advice. Well, I was prevented from having access to legal advice, and the legal advice that I did have was public pretenders, whose legal advice was, it'll take an act of God. No, it won't take an act of God to take somebody to court because they slandered you and intentionally misrepresented a situation. It doesn't take an act of God to turn that in. When you're being assaulted in a jail and your public pretender does not show up repeatedly and allows you to be harmed, misrepresents your situation and gets away with it under color of law because they're not going to record it, you have to. Or you, as an at-risk adult, need to have a friend or family member there, or your caseworker, to do it as right and best for your best interest and your safety. I didn't have a caseworker ever. I literally never had a caseworker or a victim's rights advocate. It says, avoid signing documents. We just went over that one. I had to sign documents and transfer money and property to lots of people without getting legal advice because I was denied access. As a disabled person, they did everything that they could with the color of law crap to commit felony after felony against me and get away with it. It said ask professional help right away if you need help managing your health care, daily living, or finances. I did. How many of these places have I gone to? I went to 6 of these places before Natalie Bollinger was killed. 6 of these places before that she was killed. Okay, so I did these things. I went to Region 1. I went to Veronica Bruce. I went to Sandhills Crisis Intervention Program. It says, assert your right to be treated with respect and dignity. Now, what happens if I assert my right to be treated with respect and dignity by my friends or family, or by the police, by any form of law enforcement, or the media? Well, they get to pretend like I'm being a jerk. Well, now I am a jerk. If I try to assert my rights, you assume that I'm going to harm somebody. You know that I'm not going to. You know that I'm not going to punch you or hit you or kick you out of nowhere. You know that you literally have to be putting your nasty cockbeaters on me to get such a response. It says, ask a family member or friend you trust to represent you as power of attorney in case you need this. Molly Smith can verify that I was trying that. So can the Jepsons, but they're not going to come forward. Molly Smith might. She's also got a lot of evidence that I no longer have access to. It says, refuse to allow anyone who you do not choose to become involved in your financial affairs. Well, unfortunately, the police who I was trying to turn in and the Bollinger family got involved in my financial affairs. So did the media. I didn't make any GoFundMes after Natalie died. Well, I did finally make one way later. It didn't make a single dollar. But the ones that were made after Natalie was killed, that all these web sleuth groups try claiming I made these so that I could scam people out of money and I got tens of thousands of dollars. No, that was Ted Bollinger. I didn't make them. Ted Bollinger made some that he got lots of money on. Candace Bondurant made one, but her family was threatened. That's not okay. And who has to pay the price? I do. But I recorded evidence with her and with her mom that show I told the truth. And they did everything that they could to socially isolate me for telling the truth. Candace Bondurant went out of her way to socially isolate me and isolate me from people who were trying to help me by falsely misrepresenting the situation, intentionally. Plenty of evidence of it. You just got to look. It says, ask for help right away if you need help managing your healthcare, daily living, or finances. Assert your right to be treated with respect and dignity. Ask a family member or a friend you trust to represent you as power of attorney in case you need this. Refuse to allow anyone who you do not choose to become involved in your financial affairs. I had no choice. These people all ate up my time and my money by creating safety issues, by pretending that post-traumatic stress disorder is the same as being delusional and schizophrenic. It says, outline your wishes with advance directives or living well for medical decisions. Well, my advance directives are, if I am dead, leave me there. Do not resuscitate. They will not allow me to do that, and I have multiple recordings with that as well. So, financial guidance to help manage money or property. But I also needed help from a family member or friend to turn these things in. Someone who actually knew me. See, here's the thing about professional gaslighting. This is when the police officer takes you to the hospital, tells the hospital nurse that you're schizophrenic, and they write it down. When they take you to a hospital to intentionally get a diagnosis, you can tell that it's that kind of a visit because the person taken in on a 72-hour hold is held on less than a 72-hour hold, given a false diagnosis and kicked out the door. It's most commonly bipolar disorder, but once in a great while, if you've got doctors who are exceptionally crooked, what'll they do? Well, we'll take a look at this. How long does it take to diagnose schizophrenia? A person must have experienced at least 2 of the following symptoms most of the time during a 1-month period, with some level of disturbance being present for 6 months. Delusions, such as a belief that a person is being poisoned. So, what are we going to look up here on my YouTube channel? That's right. Felon. Oh, sorry. Wrong keyboard. All right. Felon doctor of, oh god, that was stupid. Felon doctor of Hood River, Oregon. This one right here is a visit with a doctor where I explained to him that I've been poisoned in Hood River, that I am a disabled adult, that I do get disability. I'm actually going to post that up right here under this. See, all of these family and friends do the same things that the police do. Sometimes you say these nice things, but most of the time it's intimidation tactics. You just don't want to. You just don't care. Well, it's not rude or inconsiderate of me to say if you don't care, you can leave. If you're not a friend, don't pretend to be a friend, you can leave. That's not going to stop me from telling the truth. It's not going to stop me from telling the truth about any and all situations and interactions that I had with you. I am under no obligation to hide abuse, and that includes neglect, especially when I follow the rules and guidelines for which I am told. Now, my paperwork goes a lot further into that. They want to send me to Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Tillamook Family Counseling Center had already told me that they didn't do that, by the point that I got that paperwork in November of last year. I was assaulted at the same hospital this year, January 28th, assaulted by a doctor. We're gonna post up one more for y'all. This is an important one. Now, because of the situation in Hood River, I was sent to the Dalles because they had a homeless shelter there. No, it was a church that you could sleep in their parking lot. Yeah. And that way I could be in the Dalles and try to turn it in to the different agencies they were sending me to there. Very similar to Tillamook Family Counseling Center. They waste time and resources but don't actually help. The person doesn't actually go to help you. They go to basically talk over you and waste your time and draw it out, and they don't have enough time, and so on and so on. What we're going to look up now is we're going to look up a video called Jamie Again. Jamie Again, Sean David. This is in the Dalles, Oregon. Now I'm going to turn the volume way down because it is loud, especially when I yell. And I am stuck in Fred Meyer's. Alright, so in this video, she's screaming about him being a rapist and beating on her and assaulting her. And you see me looking at right there is where I see him push her and I get out. So he's already pushed her once, which is an assault. And I get out. I make sure that I point it at him. Got to make sure that it gets the assault recorded. She's trying to get away from him. She's backing up. You see how when she was walking away, she backs up and faces him because she's afraid. She wants to be able to defend herself. When she walks away like that, that's the Dalles, Oregon.
You can't have people hitting people. That ain't okay.
Now it goes further into it. Within the first 5 minutes, this man comes up and admits to killing a man. All right, I redirected his attention, and he come towards me.
All right. We can't have people hitting people. That ain't okay.
There's a lot of people sitting down at the tables and also up against the other side of the building here and against the fence.
I'm Sean Schwartz.
I let him know who I am. I don't hide my face. I don't hide who I am or what I'm doing.
I'm scared. No, that's my family, right? That's my family. I'm
So him calling her family. This is one of the things that our predators out here like to do. Claim that they're family, or even if they are family, try to use that as an excuse for harming us. And of course, many of my predators, their friends, made excuses for them, like, oh, well, he's had a traumatic experience, or he's on drugs, just ignore him, or he's on meth, as Nicole Knudsen was telling me about her brother Zach. I mean, this is all very scary stuff, but it's also stuff that is recorded. And then we got the 14-year-old girl who was assaulted here in Tillamook in the Safeway parking lot. Well, there's, like I said, quite a bit here. I'm actually going to end this video because I've already gone through so much of it. I'm just trying to show you where a lot of the evidence is. There is so much of it. There is a ton. There's also the screenshots between myself and Marcus Ibarra and his boss Courtney, and also the video. It's called the Felon Doctor of Hood River. Yeah, that guy sent me to the company or organization that Marcus Ibarra works for. When I called them to set up an appointment for 2 days later, well, they told me they couldn't do anything until, I believe, January. I'm like, they told me it's gonna be 2 months. This is what that Courtney lady done told me. I went back to the hospital. I got recordings of going back to the hospital and explaining it to them. Got a lot of recordings. And then I'm expected to remember the names of all of these hundreds and hundreds of people from different organizations. And then each organization, I've got 30 different phone numbers. And between those organizations that I have to call individually, and I have to explain, hey, these right here are people's motives for committing the crimes that they committed against me. You're darn right I told on the dude who punched Jamie. By the way, like I said, within the first 5 minutes of that guy admits to killing a man in prison. Or rather, makes the claim. How many people would that not be scary to? Especially after he's gotten violent with several people in front of you, and he has chosen to victimize another mentally ill man there by accusing that man of being a child molester, and he claims that he kills child molesters. And it turns out that guy isn't a child molester. He's a scared little running baby. I don't mean literally, but yeah, he's disabled mentally, and he's scared because, well, that guy ran him off. Here he is beating on his own. This guy who ran him off is beating on Jamie, claiming that Jamie's his own family. Any excuse for him to get violent, any excuse for him to take out his hatred on others. And eventually his victims are going to stream back. There's only so many of a person's family that you can kill before they go, you know what, I'm tired of this peaceful stuff, I'm getting a rifle. Lucky for y'all, I'm a better person than that. Taking advantage of at-risk adults is never okay. Now, I've done the research. I've looked the things up, and of course, with Marcia Estrada, getting to see evidence that I told the truth. Well, I can't prove that every single thing that I say is true, but my predators can't prove that any of the crimes they claimed were true, except for the ones that I literally went out of my way to make sure that I screamed as loud as possible publicly. But I guarantee somebody would do something. Most people don't know the difference between autism and mental retardation. They don't know the difference between Sheldon Cooper and somebody who's actually autistic. It's very sad. They don't know the difference between PTSD and delusions, and sometimes it gets very complicated. Now, Marcia Estrada states very loudly and clearly that I am not bipolar. She also, because the first time Scott Acosta and his deputies tried that, they tried bipolar because that was his excuse. Scott Acosta, when he finally gave me one of the videos, one of the situations where I was trying to turn in my predators and how inappropriately his officers dealt with it, they did this every time. They did not take the situation seriously. They blew it off and shrugged it off. And after a 3-hour sit down with Officer Cody Selhorst, explaining to him about the abuse, including abuse in town by people like Christopher Kurth, well, he wanted to pacify me with a sandwich. That's how it is in a KKK town. Just like Tillamook, stuck in a KKK town. This place sucks. They're nice people. But where are the good ones? I'm at the bathroom now, so I'm going to ditch you. For the two of you who are watching my channel right now, I will remind you that this isn't just about me, it's about all of the victims. Even if they are cowards, or even if they're different types of victims. Again, this is David Rojas, 40 years old, 5'10", 180 pounds. He lives in Wilhelmina, Oregon. He suffers from depression. He hasn't had any contact with friends or family since February 11th. His last social media post was cryptic, also posted on February 11th. If you know someone or have family in Oregon, please like and share. Let's blow this post up. Thank you. Please contact Ruben Rojas, 707-596-0913, or Deputy Nathan Scar, Yamhill Sheriff, 503-434-6500, case number 23-554. Also, you know how we end these videos. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and your sister's too, and no victim left behind.